Anyways, have you ever met someone and immediately you thought to yourself, this person doesn't like me? That's how I felt when I met Andy Reid. I met Andy Reid in the summer of 2011, I want to say. I had an internship in Houston. Maybe it was 2010. I was doing a marketing internship and I met you at Chris Pate's house. It was like he had just gotten there. I was still in school for another 2 years, but I was only home for the summer. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that specific meeting, but I remember you being a newbie and us doing like the band practices at Guitar Center.
Oh no, that's 4 years later.
Yeah, I know.
That was 4 years. No, this is way before then. Because I avoided you for 2 years. Every time I came home, I avoided Andy Reid because I thought this guy doesn't.
This was
like
in 2000
me.
what?
Maybe 10, maybe 11.
Jeez. Okay.
And I didn't even get context until like 8 years later. Because I was like, man, this guy doesn't like me for sure. Because I think I'll tell the story off camera. But anyways, today I have my friend Andy Reid. He's an attorney. If you ever heard of Better Call Saul, you better call Andy. That's who I would call if I get in a bind or anything like that. My boy's going to cook today. And I want to ask him just a few questions about work and what he actually does. And if counsel lets us, maybe he can give us a free legal advice. He probably won't.
Nope.
But anyways, Andy Reid.
Hello.
Before I get into a bunch of this, Achafalaya, could you talk about college, coming to Houston, college again, degrees? Mm-hmm. How in the world did you get into the career that you're doing right now?
You asked me earlier, I don't know if we were recording or not, about my boring, bland childhood. That's how I got here. Because, like, it was never a conscious decision. It feels like my entire life was never a conscious decision. It was more of just, well, that's the next thing to do, right?
For
like,
real?
that's just what you do. Just kind of did well in high school. And then, well, I'm in Baton Rouge. And at the time, LSU or Louisiana had what was called the TOPS scholarship to keep people in state. Not a single wrinkle. That thing has never been worn. It's not even been washed yet.
No,
Okay.
never.
What an honor.
We went on vacation to New Orleans and we stopped at LSU like twice. Once we tried to see the tiger, but he was like asleep. And I think it was on the way home. We stopped again and I was like,
grab one.
I'm going to have that convo with Andy.
So they had the top scholarship, which is basically free in-state tuition. If you get like I don't know what it was, like a 20 on the ACT or something, you can just go to LSU for free. At least
for a 20?
Yeah, at the time. It's gone up since then because they were desperate to keep kids in state because
Right.
everybody was going out of state. And so it was a relatively low, it's gone up since then. It's not that low, but it was, so I just got free in-state tuition to go to LSU. I mean, you had to pay for like books and stuff like that, but so I stayed there because that was the next right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I graduated with a political science degree. Wanted nothing more than to start my life. So I graduated early. I would take like 12 hours over the summers. Like I did nothing. I just did school, graduated.
Me too.
And I was like, okay, now I want to play drums. So I played drums for 2 years with just, I say touring, but we went to New York and back. We went to Nashville.
Y'all toured.
We
You
toured. Out of a Toyota 4Runner. Did that for 2 years. Got tired of bologna sandwiches.
Yeah.
And there was no 401k.
Yeah.
And so, all right, let's go back to school. And so, well, I have a political science degree. I guess I'll go to law school. There was never an aspiration to be like, oh, I love the Constitution, or I want to save the country, or I want to go do I want to go put people in prison that are bad guys, or I want to go represent companies in you go to law school. No idea what I was going to do afterwards. And then moved to Houston to get in-state tuition for Texas, not knowing exactly where I was going to go. Got into U of H. Graduated in 2010.
But hold on. How long were you in Houston before? You didn't come to Houston because of U of H?
Maybe I did. I probably got into U of H and then asked if I could defer or something like that for 1 year so I could move. I must have moved in 2006. You had to live here for a year to get in-state tuition, so I just worked like temp jobs.
Brother, you were that far ahead? You were thinking about, what are you, 22 at the time?
Must have been, yeah.
That's pretty wild. I'm just saying, bro. Most people are like, if I'm going to school, I'm going to school. In-state, out-of-state, whatever. The fee is the fee. I'm doing this.
Well, like once I got there...
You were strategic? That strategic?
That fell off pretty quickly because right after I got there, it's like they start telling you about all the different loans you can get.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I got in-state tuition, but it was still a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And your prefrontal cortex still isn't done. And so they're
25.
like, oh, here's $25,000 for the semester, or you can get 30 if you want. You only need 18.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take 30.
Yeah,
Why would I not take 30? Like, there's no explanation. They don't require parental approval.
Nope.
They don't require credit
Nope.
checks. It's just, do you want 32?
Yeah.
So I don't remember what I graduated with, but of course everybody had debt.
Yeah.
So there was a limited amount of forward thinking until they just started handing you what was described as free money.
Oh, yeah, but that's a lot more forward thinking than the average student. It's like, sign me up, bro. I'm ready to start. I'm only moving here because I'm doing this. I'm not moving here to waste time
We
doing
can go here.
jobs.
I'm not here to play school.
Heck no. I'm here to get it done. well, okay, so you go to LSU, you move to Houston, you go to law school, and you said that you were kind of just taking it as it came. Mm-hmm. That's wild to me because you do not come off as a person who just takes life as it comes. So
what is your perception then? Because I'm not.
This is why we're here.
No, I have rolled into and basically stumbled into good fortune my whole life.
See, I feel like my life is the complete opposite. And I admire people who just kind of
I'm probably
stumble
putting
in.
it a little too flimsy, but still.
I admire people who kind of stumble into the next thing. And I admire people who are kind of like, they can do one thing extremely well. You know, like, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none?
Yeah.
I feel like my skill set in life is way more broad. I can cover more ground. Mm-hmm. I can do multiple things. I can do nonprofit. We can do business. We can do Gabby started private practice. I get that part. But I sometimes admire people who just kind of like, I just did the next thing that was in front of me. The next door that opened.
I'm probably being too flippant about it, but like, yeah, I mean, probably being too flippant about it. But like, I certainly didn't know I wanted to do employment law. And I guess that would be one of the next questions at some point is like, well, what do you do? Well, I'm an employment lawyer. That's all I've done since I graduated. Didn't know what I wanted to go into when I started law school in terms of what area of the law. Uh-huh. I mean, like everybody like you and I who joins law school is like, oh, let's go join the Sports and Entertainment Law Society. I want to go represent a football player, sign a Joe Burrow contract, and just retire. Like, I don't know, like that's what I'm interested in. So let's go into the first thing I'm interested in. But then I needed some summer gig because I was like top of the bell curve in which is I'm 100% average in my grades at UH.
I don't believe it.
I don't. My transcript will justify that.
There's no way, bro.
No, top of the bell curve. So there were no summer jobs. I wasn't getting like, the way it used to work was your first summer clerkship, if you're in like the top 10 or 15%, you get called back for a second year, you get called back for a third year, and that's your job. So your first semester grades basically controlled the rest of your life, which is nuts. Because tests do not make good lawyers, but regardless. Because I was completely average to, I mean, it would sway one way or the other, but because I was so average in my total score or total grades, I had no real first summer job. I clerked at a free federal magistrate judge in Mobile, Alabama, where my parents lived. Oh, yeah. And the other reason I got that is because there's no law school in Mobile, so there was zero competition. I just wrote a letter, there it was. But that was a good experience. But and then just responded to an open ad for a part-time law clerk. And that's what led me to Scott, who is an elder at our church, who ran his own solo practice as pure employment law. And that's all I've done since then.
And keep talking about it. You're doing great.
No, it was like, he hired me. Well, there's, 80 million stories I could tell about that. But I remember going into the interview for that job, waiting in the little waiting area. He's interviewing another second-year law student right ahead of me, and they are laughing like crazy. They're having a great time. I'm like, wow, I'm just wasting my time, wasting my breath here. I don't remember anything about the interview. That weekend, I'm playing tennis. I get a phone call. He's like, hey, you want to come in on Monday? And whole trajectory of my life changed at that
Come
point.
start that Monday? He called you on the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it was just
Oh, it
like,
was quick?
come in on Tuesday. We'll see how this goes.
I didn't know that.
And so then I clerked for about a year and a half. Still had no prospects for permanent jobs. I did a couple of different interviews, but nothing really went anywhere. Still top of the bell curve. And so I just approached him. I was like, hey, what are we doing? I'm graduating next summer. What's going on? And so I had to work hard because I had no other options.
Yeah.
And we made it work. And it was up and to the right every single year.
Wow. How many hours are you working at this time?
It's tough to say. And this is one of the reasons I got so fortunate. Because it was just he and I was doing 6 months into the job what third, fourth year associates were doing at other firms.
Oh, really?
Because there was no other choice.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't just burying my head in document review. Like here's 100,000 pieces of paper, go find those smoking guns, or go create a timeline, or go get ready to respond to a bunch of discovery requests or something. I was helping him prepare for hearings. I was helping him prepare for depositions. I got a lot more boots on the ground experience that I would not have gotten
At a big
had
firm.
at a big firm, 100%.
Wow.
And so I encourage young attorneys with that all the time. It's like if I'm at a deposition and they're defending the deposition, which is kind of low level stuff, you just object. So it's not really intensive work. I will often encourage them on the other side, be like, look, stay here, soak it all up. Don't lust after or envy after just because someone's on the 50th floor of a downtown law building. They're doing really boring stuff over there. Like you are learning so much more by being in a courtroom, by making these objections here, by drafting those documents that your colleagues, they might be making more money today, but keep your nose down, do the work, absorb everything you can. The opportunities are to come. You're not going to retire here.
Yeah.
Like, this is not your final stop. Attorneys move all the time.
Yeah.
They just do. They're like the lateral marketplace it's gross. Like just how often people are looking for new gigs.
And how important was that time of like sharpening your craft?
I had no
Getting
idea.
Exposed, bro. You got exposed to so much by.
I met so many people, and Scott was so intentional about it. Like he would take me to the Houston Bar Association
Scott
lunches.
being your old boss.
old boss. He would take me to the HBA, Houston Bar Association lunches, labor and employment section lunches. He was the president at the time and just introduced me to people. And I just got to ride that man's coattails for years. And I mean, I did the work. Like I didn't just sit back and
For sure.
accept, but like it was still hard work, but just unbelievably fortunate to be able to have that kind of experience, which I would have never chosen. Like on the front end, I would have never said, I want to have that job making a third of what everybody else is making. But he honored it too. Like he was a man of his, had integrity in all of his dealings with me. If we had a good year, we're all going up together. We're all going to have increases in compensation. We're going to, he made me a part of a lot of the decision-making processes pretty early on, which was just incredible.
Every industry has grunt work associated with it. Every field, it doesn't matter what you do when you graduate college or, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, it doesn't matter. There's going to be parts of your job that you have to do that you don't necessarily like. But hearing you describe that season of your life, I had no clue. And I hung with both of you.
Yeah.
But we never talked about ever. We never work time, free time, community time, group time, all that's a different time. So it's interesting to hear that. How would you say that season of your life has paid off now? Especially, you just went through merger and acquisition.
Yep.
Already at a big, popular firm, if you will, and now you just combined and created a conglomerate.
Yeah.
Is it harder to stand out? Would you envision your career completely different if you went to that company?
I can't fathom it. I can't.
That would be wild, bro.
And because I was able, I don't know how it would work.
That would be
I don't know. Like it messes with my mind. And
2 to 3 people, like a handful of people in the office. For how many years were you there? June
of 2009, I started with Scott. I graduated in 10, became an associate in 10. And then I left in October of 18.
18. Okay.
So full-time associate for 7.5, 8 years. And then I just got a phone call one day from a colleague of mine that I graduated with. And he's like, hey, do you know anybody that would be interested in an associate move over here? And prayed about it, didn't know what was going on, talked with my wife about it, and then talked with Scott about it.
Yeah.
And those were hard conversations of, hey, where's this going? What are we doing? Is this going to be Fiddler and Reed one day? And I remember he went on a summer vacation with his wife. He was like, well, he was going to work through what that meant potentially with his wife and what they were going to be expecting. And I think in his head, he was going to keep this until forever. He was going to keep doing that for forever. And I ended up telling him, I think this is too good of an opportunity to pass up. And then I get a phone call while I'm at his office, from a headhunter saying, I represent a local Texas law firm, and they are looking for someone to head their labor and employment practice.
This is crazy.
And he's like, I'd like to speak with Scott. And I said, he's out of town right now. He's like, are you Andrew? Yes. Well, we're looking at bringing both of you over. If he can give me a call back, that'd be great. And so, but I texted him, I was like, this is what just happened. Like, I think you really have to give this guy a call. The timing's insane. Mm-hmm. And he did, and he ended up accepting it. And
that's crazy. I didn't know any of this.
And for 20 years, he's been getting calls.
But talking about change and pivoting and knowing when things have run its course, how do you discern that it's time? And here's context also. Because in 2025, we're living in a completely different mindset when it comes to work.
Yeah.
Even the research and the statistics are suggesting that 8 years is absolutely too long anywhere. And a lot of things the LinkedIn stats are now indicating that a person should transition every 2 to 3 years, or they're losing out on 15 to 20% per 2 years on a salary advancement.
That's just what negotiating against your current employer.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you almost and now if you've been somewhere 5 years, this is not everybody. This is big companies, technology, Googles, the LinkedIn's, the Snapchats, different things like that are suggesting if a person has been there 5 years, this may be a red flag. This person may not be hungry anymore. They might not have a desire for change.
I hope
it's crazy.
I hear that, and it's that's okay. Maybe that's just the generations. I don't know.
Oh, well,
I hope that's not the case.
It's crazy
because the days of working,
or this person's dormant.
The days of working at Ford for 40 years, getting your gold watch and your pension. I mean, that's gone. That's over. Right? I get that.
5, bro.
But that kind of a description is antithetical to everything that
It's insane.
It's antithetical to my personality. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm not making a value judgment on it, but I don't do well with that. I'm loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
And would have. I mean, I'm never leaving. I can't imagine a situation that I leave. And it sounds a little bit, and I forget who said this as it relates to churches. Whitney uses this all the time. Whitney's my wife. When people ask or talk about, man, this church isn't feeding me, or I'm not, what do I do? And it's the number one piece of advice is pick a church and stay. Just stay, because people are broken.
For sure.
And okay, just bring it to the workforce. And obviously if it's toxic, if there's other interactions that just are unhealthy for you, that is totally different. But
yeah. We're not talking about that type of stuff.
There are awful bosses everywhere. There's bad management everywhere.
For sure.
There's annoying coworkers everywhere. People get credit for work they didn't do everywhere. So if you keep jumping from place to place to place because somebody got a promotion that you deserved, you're never going to settle in. I don't know. So I do participate in some recruiting efforts. And I'll tell you, at least when we were looking at senior associates, and maybe the legal profession is totally different, but when we're looking at lateral associates or even lateral partners, they have 5 different law firms in the last 7 years. Mm-hmm. They're not going to stay here.
They're not going to.
I'm not going to invest in you.
Yeah.
I want to see the one that, okay, you've been there 8 years. Why are you leaving? well, I'm leaving because I've hit my ceiling here, or I want another opportunity, or we want to relocate, or I mean, I just explain it. You have a good opportunity. I get it. I mean, I think our law firm's great. Come and join us. I'm not going to fault you for that. But 7 different opportunities in 10 different years to me is much more of a red flag than no. I'm staying at somewhere 5 years. I'm offended that
The world has
a
changed,
bad
brother.
thing.
The world has changed.
Yeah, okay.
And a part of what's interesting is you're in an industry. Well, I don't even want to say the industry because I don't know and I'm not there. But loyalty kind of goes a long way, and you get rewarded. A lot of people aren't getting that, bro.
Well, I'm figuring that out now. We're going to need to. I mean, certainly our new firm, 500 or so attorneys, by no means small. Texas, Chicago, New York, LA. The firms that acquired us, so that we combined with, have a very heavy East Coast and Southeast, like Atlanta, North Carolina, and Philadelphia presence. And so they were very excited about Texas and very excited about our Chicago operations. So there's no overlap. So there were no like redundancies at my office. So really nothing has changed on a day-to-day perspective, but there is just something about a larger company, for lack of better words, even though, I mean, it's a firm, but a larger entity coming in and you're just adopting to their procedures. So there's a little bit of a mindset difference of that.
Because a lot of what you're going to do is still going to remain the same.
The law hasn't changed. I mean, like the courthouse hasn't changed.
For sure.
The things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis have remained effectively the same.
Yeah.
The procedures for how I set my time might be different, but
That's wild because a lot of people would be 100% the opposite of that with a merger. Any acquisition, bro, your life could be misery.
but I can imagine it. Look, this is a very different, and they've called it a combination.
And I will say a lot of people already hate what they do. I mean, let's just tell the truth. A lot of people are unengaged. They're not typed into the work that they do. They really don't want to be here anyways, and they're just buying time to hoping for the next thing. So that is a little bit. The statistic can't be just straight up accurate.
Yeah.
It has to be like. I want to get more into workplace engagement. Kind of why friends in work, and you're the guinea pig for this, and an excellent person. Because of that, like, how do we get more people to actually enjoy? And that's a little bit overrated because I don't want to be misunderstood when I say enjoy what you do. But how do we get people like more excited about Monday? You gotta somehow be talented, yes, because it's not all about passion. Post grad, I used to think follow your passion, but now I'm like, you should follow your talent. You should follow like what you're good at, what people say you're good at.
Yeah.
What do you get some like type of energy pursuing and whatnot. But anyways, back on course because I want to ask you this question because you've had to transition a number of times, although you've stayed committed to what you're doing and what's in front of you. How do you know it's time though? How do you discern that it's time to pivot or change roles? Should you accept a more challenging role where you're at? How do you know it's time to leave? How do you discern what's what?
I mean, does it further your goal or does it not? I mean, why are you doing this? Are you going for a promotion? Do I need a new experience? Do I need a new challenge? Do I need to meet new people? I mean, like, do you need to be exposed to different management? Do you need to be exposed to a different client base? What is it that's going to... Or do you need to be exposed to something that's going to lead to another opportunity completely? I mean, where is it you want to go? What is it you want to do? And I would imagine that part of the blasé attitude that people have is because they don't have a goal. Like, they don't... If your goal is just every other Friday getting taxes withheld... That's just no way to go.
Yeah.
You're never going to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
I'd love to think that everyone, I mean, because I've heard the same thing too, like, hey, you know, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's, I can imagine there's 0.5% of people who are like,
for sure.
Yeah, that truly, they're a professional drummer and they're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, or that kind of a thing. But no, I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
Yeah. if it wasn't, no one would pay you if everyone wanted to do it.
Yep.
Like, it is a transaction.
Absolutely.
I am doing something I don't normally want to do, and in exchange for that, you are going to compensate me for it. I don't want to mow my lawn. I'm going to pay somebody to do it.
Absolutely.
So it can't be completely unmotivated by buying groceries for your family or paying rent, but that can't be the only thing. And you have to have a goal. And your goal could be providing for your family. Okay, so how am I going to better provide for my family? But your goal could be, it could be making a difference in something. That it could be, I mean, all sorts of stuff. But if your decisions, if your day-to-day isn't affecting and furthering that goal or getting you another step towards that, yeah, it's going to be hard to get out of bed.
But you also said you were a person who kind of just did what was the next thing in front of you.
That's grace of God. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Like, I don't understand it. That I wouldn't have ever chosen employment law. And maybe like episode 2 that we do together, we can get into like the personal background of it. But like, my life sucked when I met Scott and when I got that phone call. It was like the lowest point of my life. Mm-hmm. Awful things were going on. And it was all grace of God to be able to get me that position, give me something to like occupy my mind and my time. Mm-hmm. And then to be able to find this opportunity with Lock Lord, and I work with unbelievably good people. And that's why I left. I remember I went for the first interview and I met with all the labor and employment partners in Houston in just a downtown conference room. I was like, these people like each other.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Because you see the television shows or read books or whatever interviews of attorneys, it feels cutthroat.
I wanted to ask you about
there
that.
Is that.
Yeah,
There's 100%, that's my client, you stay away, this is my work, catch what you kill type thing. But the people that I worked with, they were laughing. They were, you could just tell that they were not, there was a communal, lifts all ships type situation. So I went back immediately and told my wife, like, this is different. We need to talk about this. This wasn't just going for an interview. Like, I could see myself working with these people. When we hire first-year lawyers, I'm ecstatic when they don't go college, law school job. I love the fact that I don't care what it is, some real-world experience that they have gotten between parents and dorm rooms to first.
And it could be anything?
I mean, look, just being frank, if they have military service, I'm like, you're that discipline of, with the workforce that you're encountering today, of just hand it to me, hand it to me. And a lot, look, don't hear what I'm not saying. A lot of these things are really great things, but making this what the most important negotiating tactic. How many work from home days do I get? And how many, give me my standing desk, give me this, that, and the other. And it's like, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we have these benefits, but can you ask about the job first?
Yeah.
And
talk to me about your work-life balance. And it's just like,
and it's,
can we get through the job description?
You will be handsomely paid.
Yeah.
Like, for most big firm, and like this goes back to what I was saying before. Like, you're going to be reviewing a lot of documents late at night. But military service, real jobs, and it could be accounting, it could be any professional 9 to 5, to know that they are at least bringing that expectation in. I have to get up every day.
That's good.
And it'll bump you up.
Wow.
In my opinion.
What would you say to students? What would you say to students who are trying to figure out what they want to do in law? They got a poli-sci degree. They went back. They're now a candidate for a Juris Doctorate.
Yeah, the joke is, or the old wives' tale is, that whatever area you excel in first at school, like whatever case you really gravitate to, but that's completely not true, because mine, I also have a poultry science undergrad.
What?
Minor. That's another podcast.
Chicken science?
Chicken science. Yeah, Are
you serious right now?
100%. I was in the honors college at LSU. I'm getting there.
Poultry.
And philosophy. So I had all the P's: political, poultry, and philosophy. But my honors biology professor, Dr. Dennis Ingram, was the head of the poultry science department at LSU. So he taught honors biology. And his strategy, which was genius, was to not go look for, FFA members or 4-H club members.
Oh, 4-H, yeah.
But he would get the honors college kids and say, hey, do you want to go take some poultry science classes, learn how to judge a chicken, and maybe we can go win a national championship together. And so he took kids with, as far as Louisiana goes, I was a city kid. It's not a big city, but Baton Rouge is still a city. It's just a college town, but I've never ridden a horse. I don't know chickens. He rated the honors biology class, and I became a poultry judge. And in 2006, maybe 5, we won the national championship, defeating the likes of the mighty Penn State Nittany Lions, Arkansas, West Virginia. We defeated West Virginia.
Bro.
Yeah. And so we won the team national championship of poultry science judging, and I was the national champion turkey judge. Had the trophies to prove it. They're now on display at the LSU Poultry Science Department.
So crazy.
Yeah. I have a picture.
And bro, you went. What made you make it your minor though?
I had so many classes. It was not a choice. No, it's just I can't.
So random, bro. Political science with a poultry science minor
and philosophy. You keep missing that one.
And philosophy.
Yeah. I don't remember what the question was, but that was the answer.
This is going viral.
Yeah.
I'm posting this.
And ask me how long it takes me to buy eggs at HEB.
How long?
Not too long. I open the cases, I look at it, because we're doing this is not the purpose of the podcast whatsoever.
Studying eggs,
broken out eggs, regular eggs, chicken broilers, live chickens. We're judging all of it. So you were asking, what do you tell young people about choosing? Now I'm trying to get back to that because we can pivot. You asked about when do I know it's time to pivot. Now it's the time to pivot away from poultry
science. And now we're talking about what would you tell students?
I don't even know if I have the advice of what to do next.
They're already getting their JD. Let's speak to those students, not necessarily.
To me, it's don't be discouraged about grades. That's all that matters in law school is grades. That's all anybody ever focuses on, and that's what gets you the first job interviews. But
still to this day, the culture's still like that?
It's brutal. It's but they keep bumping it up earlier and earlier. So now we're interviewing kids before they even have first semester grades. And I'm like, how do you do this?
Oh, wow.
But it's just the competition of the market is what it is. So anyway, grades are everything, but don't let it crush you. I had to work. I had to work. And when you get 3, 4, 5 years outside of law school, grades still matter. They'll still ask for your transcript, but much less.
3 years removed?
I'm just saying as an example. Okay. Once you get in the professional world, you perform excellently. You work really hard.
Yeah.
There's going to be an opposing counsel you're negotiating against. There's going to be discovery responses that you're going to give a deposition. You're going to argue in front of a court, and other attorneys are going to see it. You can develop your own reputation. People are going to know who you are in whatever industry you're in. There's going to be opportunities that arise from hard work, not just grades.
Absolutely.
So, the grades will get you in the door, but that only gets you the job.
Yeah, for sure.
The rest of your career, that's now on you.
That's great.
In terms of continuing to work hard, continuing to wake up, get out of bed, get there on time, be reliable, show up, do the work, and do a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
I mean, if you do the bare minimum to get by and you meet your performance quotas to the T, I mean, when we look at our associates at the end of the year and it's like, hey, I have a billable hour requirement of 1,800 hours and you build 1,801.5 hours, look, we all know what happened there. I'm going to take the rest of the week off. I just finished the bare minimum. I'd rather you have I would almost rather you have, that's not true, because then you could have worked a little harder to make it. I was going to say I'd rather you have 1,750, but that makes no sense. That's a dumb thing to say. It's character at that point.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't
Could you walk me through what a day in court is like?
know. Oh
And
man,
who
I
are-
wish I could. No, it's like,
without giving counsel.
Yeah,
What
I'm
is
just-
it like to be an attorney? I've only been to a courthouse twice in my life. Once was because of a ticket in San Marcos during college, and it was super small. It was like size of my house maybe. But the other time was when I had jury duty, or I got called for jury duty, and I was so overwhelmed, bro.
civil or criminal?
I don't know,
Okay.
bro. I was so overwhelmed.
Here in Harris County?
Yeah, downtown
Okay.
Houston. I mean, going to the courthouse, there's people everywhere.
Yeah, that's overwhelming.
Walking, going, there's people in suits. You assume that they're attorneys. There's people who are, this could be the day. I did the parking. I'm lost. I walk in, they're like, shoes off, sir. Shoes off, take this off. No hats, or this, or that,
Yeah.
or that. I'm just like, I gotta go through a metal detector? I didn't know, bro. I didn't know anything. And I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Going to this big, what is it, foyer area, and then it's like courthouse that way, that hall, and I'm just like, what is going on?
and they're just hurting you at that point.
Bro, I don't like anything.
Disney World's your favorite place.
Yes, it is. All that, it was too intense, bro. Just sitting there like some cattle,
Yeah.
just like hoping my name doesn't get called for the day, or if it does, what does that mean that I have to do? I've only seen this stuff on TV, so I was like,
Yeah.
people do this as a career. It's kind of like being in the
That's
hospital.
not at all what I do.
Yeah, but you spend a lot of time either in your office or there.
Yeah.
To me, that's mind-boggling. I never spent more than, and I'm not exaggerating, I've probably spent an hour of my entire life at a hospital until Lucy was born.
Yeah.
When Lucy was born and we had to be at the hospital, I was like, this is great. How do people work here?
Yeah.
I don't like being here. I'm uncomfortable. It's like, this is
just
so
smells like a
weird.
disinfectant
Yes, it had,
constantly.
yeah, that, and then it's ice cold. And I'm just like, how are nurses doing this for 40, 50 hours a week? That's how I felt at the,
I mean, they feel the same way about you doing public speaking. Like, I've never had
I
to,
mean, you got a point.
I've never had to talk in front of people. That sounds awful. I can't believe he does this all the
You
time.
got a good point.
I can't believe he likes to run at other 300-pound men and tackle them. I'm never doing that. So,
That was an excellent response.
thank you.
So you don't feel like,
I mean, I spend
it feels
95%
so
of my time.
serious, bro. It feels so like,
I mean, I spend 95% of my work getting ready for the 5% in the courtroom.
okay, that's great.
It is. Trial is rare because the vast majority of civil cases just resolve. It's a business decision.
Oh, for real?
Like, oh yeah. I mean, like, if you meet a trial attorney
Bro, this is fascinating to me.
that
too,
has
by the way.
litigated to a jury more than 10 times, that's astounding. In their career.
In their whole career?
In their whole career. It is, especially in employment law.
Wow.
I mean,
So you're not down there like 3 times a month?
I am
Every week? Every Thursday?
10 times a year, 10 to 20 a year, days to have a hearing itself.
That's
and some of
wild.
it's like, I've had 3 trials in the last 6 years, probably. And it's
Okay.
because like the vast majority of what I do
Yeah.
is non-compete agreements. And those are so driven by damages and attorney's fees to where you get some preliminary information exchange between the sides, what customers have left, what information was taken, if any. And then everybody kind of sits back and says, okay, well, and this is way overly simplistic, but we have a 30% chance of winning. There's $50,000 of damages. There's $500,000 of damages. And it's kind of a basic, do we want to pay the attorneys to do this? And it's just a business decision. And there's a reasonable outcome that can be had.
Are there times when it's not? Is it more petty? It's more like, I'm going to prove a point.
When
I'm standing behind this.
100%. When a party that is on the plaintiff's side
Yeah.
is trying to make a point, that's when it
And they'll just go.
can be scorched earth.
And those are one of the times. That's like the 3 times in the last 6 years where you would have been?
Not necessarily. I mean, sometimes you truly don't know the answer. Like, a court has not answered this question before. Well, okay. Like, we really believe the light was green. You really believe the light was red. And we're not going to convince each other otherwise.
Yeah.
So we need to let 12 of our peers answer the question for us. And more often than not, they get it right. It is a good system, but it's a very expensive system, unfortunately.
I did not. Bro, I thought you got the briefcase, you're walking down Main Street.
Man, I wish. It's my favorite thing to do. That's like, it.
95% of the time is preparing?
And by preparing, I don't mean like even just preparing a speech.
Just
I
stuff.
mean
just
it's
the
the paperwork,
work,
the administrative aspects. Like,
absolutely.
I need to know your financial information.
Yeah.
So I have to do a request for production and say, Robert Ramirez, produce all of your bank statements and QuickBooks reports from January 2022 to the present. You have 30 days to respond. And then you respond and you object and you say, 2022 and 2023 aren't relevant. I'm going to only give you 2024, and I'm only going to give you these line items. And then I say that's not good enough, and so I have to file a motion to compel. And then the judge is busy for the next 3 weeks, and so I can't get it heard. I can't get a hearing date for 2 months after, and then you get to respond to that motion, and then we argue it, and then maybe the judge rules, maybe the judge doesn't. The wheels of justice can turn very slowly in a civil court. And so all of that back and forth and writing motions, and then that takes a long time.
I had no idea. That's super interesting. This is going to be really good for the people who watch this who are aspiring attorneys or students in mentorship groups and stuff like that. That's real dope. Before I get into my last set of questions,
yes, sir,
which are very random, what would you say to Andy, who just graduated from law school? Knowing what you know now, how would you encourage him?
This is going to be okay, sir. This is going to be okay. That was a rough season just personally.
Yeah.
But it's going to be okay. And 6 months from now.
Yeah.
A year from now, it's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
It's going to be okay. That I did the best I could. I mean, okay, it was a ball. I threw a ball. I should have thrown a strike. Didn't do it. I didn't quite execute properly, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
And you just can't crush yourself over being imperfect, because it turns out we all are.
And that's what you would tell the young Andy.
Yeah. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. Bet. All right. Underrated or overrated?
Ooh.
Getting 8 hours of sleep each night.
8 hours?
Underrated or overrated?
Oh, man. Underrated.
Why?
I haven't slept past 3 in the morning in a year now because of my dog. I have 2 elderly 15-year-old dogs, and one of them wakes us up every morning.
At 3 a.m.?
I try to go back to sleep. I usually do. I have to redirect the dog because she thinks it's time for food. And I'm like, honey, it's 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m.?
Or the cat. We have a stray cat now that lives with us. That we, and by we, I mean my wife, adopted.
I got you. Anyways, all right, next question. 3 more. Underrated, overrated. Performance reviews.
Underrated. Underrated from the reviewer's perspective. The reviewer, the manager, needs to take them more seriously. That if I don't tell you what you're doing wrong, how are they going to improve?
Yeah.
And I don't know, overrated or underrated in terms of the employee's perspective. I think that they probably take them pretty seriously. But I don't think that, at least in my experience, that managers see the value. Oh, I have to do this again.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't want to invest the time. I have other stuff to do. I have clients to call. I have stuff to do. Well, okay, then the whole company is interested in this person getting better.
Yep.
So take it seriously.
You clearly have an interesting career background. We're going to get into this next time. Yeah, I don't want to say you're idealistic, but there's some crazy stuff going on out here that I think you should know about.
Okay.
and then I want to hear your feedback on that. Anyways, I need to pull up just a bunch of stats. Okay. Underrated, overrated. 2 weeks notice.
You asked the employment lawyer.
Yeah. We developed these for you. For everyone, but exclusively for you. Don't tell anybody that part. 2 weeks notice. Underrated or overrated?
Overrated.
Why?
You don't owe them anything. That's the deal. It's an at-will. They could fire you today.
Yeah. With no severance. Many times.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
It'd be nice.
It'd be nice.
If you could.
Yeah.
It's the professional thing to do, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Unless it's required by contract. That's not legal advice.
Overrated or underrated? Appetizers before the main entree.
Only on date night. Do I do that? Only on date night or if it's a company meal. If somebody else is paying for it, it's happening.
What about with the kids? Overrated.
I never do it with kids. I mean, unless it's like maybe we'll get like egg rolls or edamame or something.
Yeah.
But that's usually because they're only going to eat noodles. And so it's not even part of the appetizer. It's their meal.
Overrated or underrated on date night?
Oh, it's yes.
Overrated?
It is overrated because we put so much pressure on it.
Yeah.
It's underrated because, oh my gosh, we need it. And the family's not going to be okay if we're not okay. And we need to be okay. We need to go on date nights. We need to connect. But in terms it's not. You can't hold yourself to the same standard everybody else holds themselves to.
This is getting so philosophical. Shout out to the philosophy minor.
Yeah.
Last one.
Cluck, cluck.
Oh gosh, poultry. That got me. Underrated, overrated. Last one. Health insurance premiums.
I don't even know what you're asking by that.
Are they overrated? Are they underrated? And yes, we're boxing you in on purpose.
They are. Okay, I don't know if this is the way I'm supposed to answer. I'm going to say they're underrated because you should take them into more account because you can lower your health insurance premiums by getting a high deductible health plan and getting a health savings account and get the triple tax advantages of deducting from your salary. You get growth from the HSA investments, and then you can take it at any time, tax-free as well.
Tax-free.
To use for health. And if you've never spent it, you can use it for retirement.
Underrated.
If that's the answer. Whatever it takes to get you to do an HSA. That's what I would do.
That's a wrap. Andy Reid.
Financial expert.
Poultry science.